The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Youmans.
It's an off-season edition of Talking Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, in the SWBC studios. Welcome in, everybody. We only got a couple things to talk about today, Cowboys Nation. Just one or two or three or a million possible different scenarios surrounding your head coach. And one of them that we know is not going to happen is that Mike McCarthy will not return as the head coach in Dallas. Got the full cast and crew ready for you to rock today. Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback, Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us. It was about 11 o'clock yesterday, Monday morning, that Tom Pelissero from the NFL Network tweeted the breaking news. The Cowboys and head coach Mike McCarthy have agreed to part ways. Very shortly after that, the Dallas Cowboys media team has confirmed, and we have been off to the races since then with all the speculative thoughts and conspiracy theories
I heard your name in there.
About next head coach.
Yeah.
Don't spill my business on the air,
Sorry,
okay,
didn't mean
guys?
to tell
We got a
everybody.
long way to go.
Jeez.
Can't keep a secret.
About how it unwinded, though. Conspiracy theories about how the whole thing happened, and then conspiracy theories about what's next and where are the Cowboys going to go from here. So we'll start with Patrik here. Little news and notes. I know you and I had the breaking news podcast yesterday, but just for our talking viewers,
I listened.
outline to it. It was a good podcast.
It was really solid. I like
Yeah,
that crew.
it was solid.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you guys went over your time. But it was solid.
We definitely went over
Yeah.
this.
It's something we might not
Shocker.
never know anything about on this
Yeah.
show, right?
I was definitely on kid pickup duty and listening at the same time. I'm dedicated.
That a boy.
Yeah.
Well done.
I like it.
It's good for you to make up after missing last one.
Oh.
Dang.
You've got like 40 shows left to go to make up
Facts.
that you missed this past year.
got you there, buddy. You're in a pickle now.
Yeah, take that, NFL Network, you loser.
Doggone Tom
All
Pelissero.
right, so
Teammate.
obviously, like Kyle said, we know Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys are parting ways going forward. And the Cowboys did say in their statement that they were going to commence their search immediately. And boy, they were not kidding around. Jerry Jones put in a call to none other than Colorado head coach Deion Sanders, former Dallas
Are we
Cowboy.
sure Jerry actually dialed the phone and called, or
He's got people.
or did Colorado possibly, or Deion possibly call the other way around?
Deion said.
So you're saying
Deion said
you're
it
asking
was
me
nice to
A
hear from
or
Jerry.
B. I'm saying it was probably C. Like they probably had
a little-
already. A little bit of both.
There's more on that. I want you to continue before I get into
Yeah.
it. I think it's all a fluff.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay, good.
But
All right, yeah, I got to hear this.
Yeah, no,
I
but
got to hear
all
that
fluff.
take.
as far as who sent the "Hey Big Head" text
Oh,
first.
no, not the big head.
Oh, you know.
I'm sure Jerry probably
Yeah, no,
hit
hey Big Head, you know that you up text. Hey, you
Just
up?
keep going. Just keep going.
Hey,
Just
you
keep
up?
going. No, just go to the next one.
So we don't. Rumor has it, reportedly, it was Jerry Jones and the Cowboys who reached out to Deion Sanders, and with primary interest in not preliminary.
Primary.
Preliminary is the better word.
Okay.
Preliminary interest with interviewing him, possibly interviewing him. No formal interview has been set between the two. No formal interview has taken place. It was just a back channel conversation to gauge interest. Reportedly, there is mutual interest. And now we're going to circle to the opinion part of it. Stop it. My opinion is
Your opinion is stop it.
My opinion is stop it. I get it. It's the headlines. It's
Man,
fun.
it's got
Deion. It's all the things. But what's going to ultimately happen is it's going to go nowhere, and Colorado's going to up the bag that much more for Deion.
Yes.
So you could arguably say this is a leverage move by Deion.
Yes.
And that's where I'm going to leave it with my opinion.
Deion doesn't want to be here. Let's let that completely known. Deion wants full control.
Why not, Kyle?
Because he wants full control of what he does to build his football team, and that's what he did at Jackson State. That's what he did at Cedar Hill Trinity Christian. That's what he did here now, currently with the Colorado Buffaloes. He doesn't want that at the NFL level. Plain and simple. He's good friends with Jerry. They have a relationship back and forth, and it has been since he played here in Dallas. It makes storylines, but he's amidst a contract negotiation for an extension in Colorado. Before that phone call happened, it's a leverage move.
And these are two men of the same idea when it comes to business.
They know
1,000%.
Negotiating.
They know how to market themselves, and they know how to make headlines. And
I'm not
I think
saying
that's a big part of what you're seeing now.
I'm not saying it would not be fun. Oh my goodness, the media circus would be unbelievable.
Press conferences would be
the
best
most
thing.
entertaining thing of all time. Is it a great X's and O's move? Maybe. Who knows? We don't know really what's going to happen out of the next head coaching hire. It could be a terrible X's and O's move outside of Deion Sanders. But man, I just don't see this one being a mutual agreement of let's do this.
No,
guys.
I think it's headline driven. And as far as the news and notes, let's give the objectivity. And here is Deion Sanders' response to the reports. Quote, "To hear from Jerry Jones is truly delightful and it's intriguing. I love Jerry and believe in Jerry, but after you hang up and process it and think about it, it's intriguing, but I love Boulder and everything there is about our team, the coaches, our student body, and the community," end quote. He's not leaving Colorado.
It would be really fun, though. I'm not going to lie.
It would be.
It's not real.
Yeah, it'd be fun
This is
as
all
far
fluff.
as just roller coaster without the harness coming down, and it's like, wow, this is really dangerous, and I might die, but we gonna have fun.
It would
We're
be
gonna live.
it would be a really fun off season. However, I think your excitement would kind of roller coaster all the way down when it comes to week one. Like, oh god, we're actually gonna play this. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, this is happening.
this is happening.
I want to know
We actually have to
IRS's
play a game now.
stance on it.
It would be a fascinating off season.
Well, first, let's start with this, because IRS and Josh, you guys weren't on the emergency pod, and I know that you were agreeance that we agreed that we would bring Mike McCarthy back. My thing was
All four of us
Yeah, all
were
of
there.
us, all four of us were. My thing was,
And that we were bringing that we wanted him.
that we
back.
wanted,
Yes.
keep,
Wanted,
that
yeah.
we would
Correct.
retain him.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I did
My
not
thing
think he was going to come.
I think you and I were in the same
Yeah.
agreement there.
We
Yeah,
did
my
that right
only
after
thing
the
was
show.
I was going to, and this is where it, and I'm hearing the same whispers, so I'm going to go ahead and say this is confirmed. So the reports initially were that the Cowboys and McCarthy were kind of not at odds, but they were not on the same page as far as length of contract is concerned. If that's the case, I understand why McCarthy did it. Because
100%.
I would not have given him more than a 2-year deal, and I said that. I said that.
Yep.
But I also said in that same breath, he's not going to accept a 2-year deal.
Or a 1-year deal.
Or a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So it sounds like more or less that's kind of what happened. The Cowboys approached him with something less than a 4 or 5 year deal. McCarthy was like, I want a 4 or 5 year deal, and if you're not going to give me that, then I'm going to have to head out. And Jerry
I'ma head
and
out.
Steven were like, all right. So the next Uber is coming in about 20. So for me, it was a McCarthy decision. Both sides wanted it to work. Jerry Jones, they wanted him back, but McCarthy wanted more years. And even I was not comfortable with another 4 or 5 years.
So not about money. It was about tenure.
It was about tenure.
Okay.
I think it was
Good
about
to know.
tenure. Because I do believe McCarthy was probably, especially given who his agent is, was probably looking for a pay increase because inflation is a thing too.
From 2020 to
There
2025,
it is.
absolutely.
Absolutely it is. So I can almost guarantee McCarthy was looking for a bump in pay, but I think the priority for McCarthy was stability over the pay versus someone like a Ben Johnson who, yes, Ben Johnson wants some stability, but Ben Johnson wants the mega bag.
But also, people need to understand when you say Mike McCarthy, you're saying every other coach that is under his umbrella.
Yes, you
And
are.
that's what I don't believe that people are understanding about these negotiations and these conversations. He's not just negotiating on behalf of Mike McCarthy and Mike McCarthy's household. It is literally every other coordinator, every other position coach, every other assistant, strength coach, everybody.
All the bodies.
Everybody.
All the bodies.
Everybody.
Everybody. 3 R's. That's who he's speaking on behalf of. So even outside of himself, where I can't speak for him, right? But he may have been willing to take a lesser year contract. But I don't believe he was willing to put his staff in that situation as well.
Again,
Again.
by the way. just again, because you went into this year already with it being a. But
why would he want to go through that same roller coaster again with the same questions, the same type of year?
Every year,
it's the spotlight is on him yet again. With a longer term deal, you don't have that spotlight as hot on you for this season. You know, it's like, at least it lets you breathe for one season.
Well, he's faced something every year.
Exactly.
Outside of the first year, which was a COVID year, he's faced something every year. He brought Dan Quinn on. They had success. The question was, is Dan Quinn going to be here? Is Dan Quinn going to take his job? Are they going to swap? Right? Then it was a Kellen Moore conversation, right? Like every year, it was something, right? Every year was a threat to his
Comes
position.
with the title, man.
Yeah.
The weight
and with that comes, once it comes time to negotiating, I now need to roll all of that up and turn that into dollar signs so that I can bear that weight.
Agreed. But we've said it 100 times. Free agency, it doesn't matter if it's a player, assistant coach, or a head coach. Free agency is a two-way street, and this was not a Jason Garrett situation. No. There were not teams interested in interviewing Jason Garrett as he was exiting the Cowboys organization. There are teams interested in bringing on Mike McCarthy as he exits the situation. So that means that he was able to walk in and have some demands. And if his demands weren't met, his deal breakers, his non-negotiables, and if they couldn't meet his non-negotiables, then you get where we are right now, which is the Cowboys are looking for their 9th head coach.
And just really quickly, when it comes to the Cowboys denying Mike McCarthy interview with the Chicago Bears earlier last week, to me, there's a lot of backlash from that move because now people are like, well, why didn't you let him,
Because they were...
Why would you? Why would you give them that opportunity? Like, to me, that's a silly argument at this point to say after the fact. Of course,
with it, John.
Hindsight is 20/20, but of course you don't let him interview because you're still in negotiations at that point.
Yep.
Granted, you're not in contractual negotiations, but you're still trying to figure out what the future of your team is.
Right.
Why would you give Chicago the opportunity to interview this guy
no benefit
before
for the
you
Cowboys.
need to?
Yeah.
This is a business, man.
Yeah. People are like, it was petty by the front office. That's stupid.
I just think that's
people trying to get clicks.
Not saying that the Cowboys have handled everything correctly this offseason by any means.
Yes.
By any means.
Yes.
However, to that point, why would you do it? There's no benefit to you to doing that. Wait a week, bro. It's a week. Right. It's the offseason. We got a long way to go.
Nobody's getting hung out to dry from a McCarthy standpoint or a McCarthy staff standpoint because he waited a week to negotiate the rest of this contract. That's just plain and simple.
The only thing,
nobody's left out to dry. There was no pettiness involved.
In that capacity, I agree because it's just
a business decision.
If Kyle and I have some business to discuss and we're sitting in a room, it's just mano with mano, and Isaiah has some business that he wants to talk to Kyle about, and he comes and he taps on the glass and want to be, hold on a second. Let me see where we are first before Kyle and you start having these conversations, because I don't know what you're going to say to Kyle, and that might completely derail what he and I...
The business that we're trying to...
So just hold off. So that didn't negatively impact McCarthy at all. But it did negatively impact the Cowboys by waiting that week to part ways. No,
that's different.
Reason being because... Yeah. Example, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, those interviews, those request windows closed. And that week that it took you to decide, or it took McCarthy and you to decide you were going to part ways. And now you can't talk to those two guys until after their season concludes. And if their season takes them to the Super Bowl, then you got to wait until after the Super Bowl.
It's almost like before the final game, before the season was even over, that there was a podcast that outlined the importance of making a decision.
What pod might that have been?
One way or the other. I think there was one. It was called Talkin Cowboys.
Yeah.
That one.
The host of that pod really tried to hammer that home.
I tried to stand. No, it wasn't McShots. Oh, okay. I tried to stand on a table.
You did?
Nobody heard me though. It's fine. It's fine.
Isaiah's making faces. I need. Come on.
Is it Coy Isaiah? Is he back?
Come on.
Did you make the trip back from Vegas?
Come on.
I just want people to understand that when we start talking about Coach McCarthy and the leverage that he gained after understanding that there was going to be a market for him, negotiations get a little bit more fair, right? And the tides kind of turn a little bit, and there's a lot of
grass is greener, man.
A lot of games that are played in negotiating.
Oh yeah.
So
that's Deion.
We don't know. We don't know how these conversations went. We don't know who was taking who. We don't know who was taking the time. It very well might have been McCarthy drawing it out to ensure that they couldn't talk to him. You never know. There's all kinds of different leverage moves, and
Chess.
it's chess.
It ain't checkers.
I mean, when you start talking about contracts, it's chess, man. I've dealt with this for however many years now. All right, let me go ahead and draw this out a little bit.
Because again, I am not Jason Garrett,
and I got options. And to turn down an offer that's in front of you, you know that there's an option that you can take.
What Chris Rock say? Only as faithful as your options.
Yeah, for real. So it all kind of boils down to what happened in 2024. I mean, the season that was, you were given a one chance, given a 1 year opportunity to try and take this team to the level you were anticipated to take them in the previous years. The 12-5, 12-5, 12-5.
We all said it. NFC
Early
Championship.
exit.
That was the bar.
That was
Let's make
right
it
at the
there.
beginning of the year.
Yep.
Exactly. And you did not get there, safe to say.
No.
So that was part of the decision, was the 1-3 record in playoffs. The way you lost to Green Bay was a legitimate contributor to the decision-making process. And really, if the front office was not reluctant to bring back Mike McCarthy would still be here. Plain and simple.
Right.
Everybody that's saying, and I completely agree with how it happened, where it's length of the deal and there's just a disconnect there. If there was any sort of buy-in from the front office that Mike McCarthy was indeed the right person for the job, he would still be here.
Yeah, because they would have
made the deal possible. But there was a reluctant side from the front office. There was a reluctant side from Mike McCarthy, and because of that, that's why they ended up parting ways. Mike McCarthy did not tell Jerry Jones in the front office no.
Right.
If anything, Jerry Jones said, it's on our terms, if anything. If you're coming back, it is going to be on our terms, and it wasn't on their terms.
They both said the same thing. Yes, but.
Correct.
And whatever came after that ellipsis, that's what
came to the crossroads, and that's why he's not here.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. I think whenever we were talking about him after the Bucs game, and we were all very much in agreement, like, all right, he needs to come back.
Yeah.
Like that was the
final hoorah.
That was the final hurrah. That was, you saw the team galvanize behind him and like all of the positive things they were saying. However, I think I had said, or one of us had said after that game, it's like, okay, but if you play like you did against Baltimore, if you play like you did against Detroit, for any of these last two or three games, right? I would reconsider the thought that we're having now, which was like, why would you go back? Why would you go back?
And then Philly.
And then Philly happened. And then that happened how it happened. You fought against the Commanders, which was a decent game. You lost at the end. I don't think that necessarily played into the idea of it all. It was that Philly game that really broke it for me. And ultimately, for me, if it were up to me, I would have brought McCarthy back, but I would have demanded he not call plays. That would
maybe that's a part of it.
But
that would have been a sticking point for me, because time and time again in the red zone, when you saw his situational awareness when it came to the red zone, I had no confidence that we were going to score touchdowns. It's like, okay, this is the Brandon Aubrey show now.
Well,
once
when
you get past the 30,
to fail on goal to goal,
when you
situations.
ridiculous, man, ridiculous.
But
and
that's a but.
To me, that is a but for McCarthy, because he's like, why would I give up calling plays? This is my team. This is how I run
Could
things.
have felt like that was a slight.
Kellen Moore's not here anymore, so yeah.
Right.
Not
exactly.
Yet.
What?
I said not yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he wouldn't have been back with McCarthy.
I know. I know.
But that
All
was
right.
smooth how you slid that in.
Speaking of,
Pause.
Now that Mike McCarthy is on his way out the door, wherever he ends up next, I personally want to wish him best.
Yeah,
of course.
On the way. That's tough.
He's a really good dude.
Excellent dude.
Really good.
So wish him best wherever he does end up, whether it's as a coordinator, head coach, or wherever it may be. I'm sure we'll see him down the line, because he will be in the NFL.
How about this? Go around table. Will he get a job this next
Yes.
cycle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody has yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a no.
You have a no.
I don't think he's going to.
Good for you.
He takes another.
I like it. Nope. Stan, say what
He thinks he's going to get one, but he's not. Right now. There's only 6 spots.
Correct.
So tell me where he's going.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
So Aaron Glenn's not going to get that job.
No,
That's where he came from.
that's fine.
That's where he was.
Right.
With
And McCarthy
Sean
also has history. He
I
was a
understand.
coordinator in New Orleans as well.
Another year
Young
in the basement
guy.
for Mike McCarthy. We'll see.
Just saying.
Young.
I like it.
I think Aaron Glenn's getting that.
That's
job.
pretty.
That's who I think.
I think Aaron
think
Glenn's
from-
getting this job. No, there's a lot to talk about in terms of who is that next man up at the head coaching position, and could it be a guy that recruited Isaiah Stanback one time? We'll talk about it when we come back. More Talking Cowboys right after this.
Intrigue.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this portion of the show is brought to you by Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Quaker Oats, trusted since 1877.
Buy your oats on the internet using the Quaker code in the left-hand corner.
Yes, sir. Get your oats. Get your oats in today, Isaiah.
I did not. By the time I got here, the oats had been pulled. They had pulled the oats.
They had pulled the oats.
Got to be here before 9, baby.
Got to get here before 9.
What's in your cup?
It was
It's
tea.
Black Rifle.
It was tea.
It was tea, yeah.
Black Rifle tea.
I didn't get a Black Rifle today. I did not. If I had a Black Rifle today, I would. I didn't think I should come off the top rope today, with the understanding of what just took place.
Yeah, of course.
People need to be able to hear us and digest exactly what we're saying. I feel like it might have been a little bit too aggressive.
Like oats. Digest it like oats.
Digest the oats. It takes a little bit,
Yeah, right.
Slow breakdown.
Slow breakdown.
Bitty, thin pancake.
So let me get this straight.
Smoking a pancake.
So you're saying on a show where we encourage Cowboys Nation to say it with your chest.
It's a lot of information to take in today, Kyle.
The information is pretty much there. He's not coming back, and there's a lot of guys that could come here. I want to know what you're coming off the top rope with.
You want to know?
Yes.
Come off the top rope.
Well, since you guys want to go a little
WWE on Netflix. I mean, full
Give us
fledged.
a macho man elbow off the top rope.
I want like cage match, everything.
Whenever these conversations come about,
Get the tables.
Whenever these conversations come about, I'm usually the guy that's the oddball. I'm the one who says something. Everybody's like, "You're crazy," and then
I like you,
later on, you find out that the person's getting interviewed. Last year, my crazy take.
That's true.
Was Rex Ryan.
I said Rex Ryan should be the defensive coordinator here last year.
Still on television.
He's still on television, but I still stand behind that. I feel like he should have been a defensive coordinator this past year.
Say it?
Huh?
Are you going to say it for this year?
He's going to. I think he's
going to New York.
I think
he's going back.
He's so vocal about that on the
That's
broadcast.
I like him.
It's like they were showing a play of Josh Allen going into the Bills game, and Josh Allen threw it like on a dime off balance deep into the New York Jets secondary, and he goes, "That won't happen next year. Hopefully, I'm there." Like in the middle of his analysis.
I feel like he has 10 toes in the ground.
Probably.
Well, he likes toes. But,
he's got one foot in the game.
I see what you did there. So this year, my hot take, right? I'm not a hot take guy. But last year was Rex Ryan. Obviously, that did not pan out. But following that comment, Kyle laughed at me.
I did.
On air. But then we found out days later that he was being interviewed and highly considered.
Mm-hmm. Did he get interviewed?
He did.
I don't think he did. I thought they just talked money, and he said no. If that was from his part, there was never an official report.
He lost to Mike Zimmer.
And
then got on TV and ranted about
I'm not going to sit here
the
and
Cowboys
concede.
made the wrong decisions.
I'm not conceding.
He was considered.
Who?
He was considered for the position.
Boo-hoo.
This year, now with the Mike McCarthy news, obviously following the last game on the first word, I said that I don't believe that Mike McCarthy was going to return. But I've been very adamant that I was hoping that he was going to return. Unfortunately, he's not here. I don't think this will happen. This is who I think should come in.
It's a gut feeling, if you will.
It's a gut feeling. I think John Gruden is the black sheep.
Ooh.
Okay.
Operative word there.
I think he's a black sheep. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation around, the stuff that he had that went down that caused him to lose his job originally. But I think that stuff's kind of getting swept under the rug, like things happen to do. I think when you think about somebody who's going to come into this organization with everything that you have to bear as a head coach here, I think Coach McCarthy felt the weight of a lot of that as well. I don't think that he necessarily wanted to do all the things that came with being the head coach for the Cowboys, but he did them, right? Because that's what the job required. But I don't think it was a willingness. I think John Gruden will welcome all of those things. I think John Gruden is a great spokesperson in terms of forward-facing. I think he can stand on business at all times. I think he can handle the media very well.
He's been in the media for a long time.
He's been in the media. Prior to that, he knew how to handle the media. He just knows how to win as well. I like his grit and determination in terms of when you start talking about a coach and what everybody underneath him embodies, that team embodies the spirit of the coach, right? We talked about Dan Quinn, right? The whole state of this team changed when Dan Quinn came on because people started embodying what DQ had. Now you're seeing it in Washington. I think John Gruden's one of those guys. I don't think that you're allowed to be soft and allowed to not have high effort if you're on a John Gruden team. I think that's just one of the things you just know, right? So that's culture, right? Somebody who's going to bring a culture with them. You're not wondering if they're going to establish a culture. You're not wondering if they're capable of it. You're not wondering if they're just a good play caller. You know you're going to get culture. You know you're going to get discipline. You know you're going to get wins, right? And you know you're going to get somebody who can handle the weight of the star. Those are all things that I believe that John Gruden possesses. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But that's somebody that I know for sure to say, hey, that dude right there can handle being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
He can handle the weight.
I'm pulling in Isaiah right now.
For sure. Go ahead, sir.
Hand up.
Go ahead.
Okay. Fantastic points. Everything you said is a fantastic
Thank
point.
you, sir.
So
I'm not laughing at you.
So my question,
just I wanted to let it be known. I'm not laughing.
So my question isn't necessarily for me. This is me playing devil's advocate.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be a Kyle Youmans.
Nice.
Okay.
I like it.
So devil's advocate. Everything you said is absolutely correct. Okay. So if you're going to go that route with Gruden because of all of those things, the media portion notwithstanding, because who I'm about to say didn't have any TV broadcasting, so he didn't move throughout the weeds in the TV world like that. If you're Jerry Jones, why don't you just look at Mike Zimmer for everything that you talked about? This is not me saying I would. I'm asking why.
Devil's advocate.
Okay. I still stand behind this. I've seen Mike Zimmer throw his quarterback under the bus.
Before.
Okay.
His name was Kirk.
I can't look past that.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't look past that. It was during a time that was
tumultuous time,
crazy time. Nobody knew what was going on. Somebody was standing on their beliefs. Somebody was. I hear you. That's different though, right? So attacking my beliefs and attacking what you feel I should be doing are two completely different things. And then to throw somebody under the bus who's supposed to be the leader of your team publicly, I can't look past that.
Okay, that's fair. Now let me tell you who. Because we talked about this on the emergency podcast, and go to DallasCowboys.com. I have my 20+ candidates that the Cowboys will have interest in, either somewhat or wholeheartedly. That's up right now on DallasCowboys.com.
Do it now.
I sectioned it off between the NFLers, which are your old guard, kind of in the John Gruden. So I got John Gruden in there, and then you look at the in-house guys, Mike Zimmer, Al Harris, John Bones Fossil, and then you look at the collegiate guys. So go check it out.
Sure.
So right now we're talking about the box of the NFLers is what I call them. John Gruden is an NFLer for me. I'll see you at John Gruden and I'll raise you Pete Carroll in that box.
Absolutely.
All for it.
In that box. Yep. So for me, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying as far as Gruden is concerned, but I feel like turn the knob just a little bit, and I'm more in on Pete Carroll than I am on John.
I understand that.
Especially when you're talking about more recent success at the NFL level, also proficient with how to handle the media. You talk about someone who's been under the brightest of lights, whether it be at the USC program, and not just USC, but the USC program that he orchestrated. Yeah. Came through that controversy, mostly clean, went to Seattle, won a lot of games, won a Super Bowl, helped design the Legion of Boom with Dan Quinn. So you got, a taste of what Pete Carroll's tree can do for you. Why not go get the root of the actual tree?
To that point, though, I'm curious, though, if Will McClay is staying. That, to me, informs me whether or not I go with Gruden or if I go with Carroll.
How so?
If it's Gruden, I need Will McClay because I've seen what Gruden has done as far as draft prospects, draft picks, picking guys that are very flashy. Will McClay has found diamonds in the rough.
Facts.
And you don't have as many draft picks as you would like going into this draft. Of course, that fourth round pick is
that's really the big one. They've got a lot of comp picks coming because of the lack of offseason they had last year. But that fourth round pick, missing that is going to be.
You're going to miss that.
I love where you're going with this. Finish up.
But with Pete Carroll, I think you do have an opportunity to still be successful. Because of recruiting.
People want to play for him.
I think that is a huge tell whether if those are your two candidates, which way you're leaning. If you don't have Will McClay, I don't want John Gruden in that case.
How about this? Why is it a situation, and you're right, but I don't feel like it should be a situation where you have to choose. Again, we're just talking about this box. Yeah, we'll get to the Ben Johnsons and the other and the Kellen Moores. We'll talk about that. But just speaking in this box, why not Dragon Ball? Why not do a fusion dance? Pete Carroll and Will McClay. Fantastic recruiting, fantastic scouting. Why force yourself into a situation where you have to choose between one or the other?
Porque no los dos.
Fusion.
Yeah.
Just fuse.
I've played for Pete Carroll.
And he recruited you.
And he recruited me heavily.
Yeah.
Harder than anybody. I don't see
recruiter.
Him, I don't see
to the point.
For sure. It didn't work. But
took a mulligan on that.
Hey.
My first day of practice in Seattle after he assigned me was he came up to me in stretch line and said, "I told you I was going to get you." So,
that's fun.
I don't see Pete Carroll living in Texas.
Wow.
So you think that's a geographic decision for Pete Carroll?
I do.
Why not? I mean, honestly, you're saying this as somebody who knows him personally, but you got to give more.
But things have changed for Pete Carroll.
Things have changed. Things have changed, but there is still a job on the West Coast.
Am I missing? What's the West Coast?
The Vegas?
Yeah.
Is that considered West Coast?
That's definitely West Coast.
I mean, you're like 3 hours from the coastline.
Close enough, I guess.
You drive to L.A.
Are we on the Gulf of Mexico in Dallas? Because they're about the same amount of drive.
Yeah, dude, Galveston's right there.
So I don't know. I mean,
the same. I think he's more Las Vegas than he is Dallas. That's not to say that the Cowboys won't talk to him. That's not to say that he wouldn't work here. I think he would. I think Coach Carroll can work anywhere because he's a culture guy, right? You talk about DQs of the world and all these guys. They came from his tree. He can make it happen for sure. I just think that if he had a choice, I think he would prefer Vegas over Dallas.
Now, here's what I think could overcome that. What we talked about yesterday on the emergency pod. This is a Cowboys team that has cornerstone pieces already in place. You got your franchise quarterback. He's an all-pro and a former MVP frontrunner. You got your franchise wide receiver, record setter in CeeDee Lamb. You got an all-world generational pass rusher that for all intents and purposes, you're about to give him the super bag, okay? You have 2 all-pro corners. So for DeMarvin Overshown, once he comes back from injury, you have
about Brandon Aubrey
potential. You got an all-pro kicker. You got an all-pro returner. So, Kyle made a wonderful point yesterday. Spots 11 through 53, there's a lot to be worked out there. Spots 1 through 10 or 11, Vegas can't boast that.
There's a lot of teams in the
Chicago
NFL that
can't boast
be able
that.
to.
Jacksonville can't boast that. New Orleans can't boast that. So if the breaking or the deal breaker for Pete is simply Texas versus Illinois versus Florida, I can overcome that by saying, look at what we have and what they don't have.
It's not just that. I understand how tight of a relationship
and no state tax
that Florida Coach Carroll had with Snyder when he was in Seattle. Mm-hmm. Those guys were like they were like attached at the hip.
They agreed.
So understand how in symmetry he has to be with the GM.
Mm-hmm. Or Will McClay. Maybe the symmetry just needs to exist with Will McClay. All right. So that's the NFLers box. In the NFLers box, we got John Gruden. We got who do we say? Pete Carroll. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, the elephant in the room is the coordinators box. So now Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Kellen Moore.
That's a big one.
He's a front runner, whether you like it or not. And I'm going to say that I'm not in on that. But speaking from the thought process of the guys upstairs, Kellen Moore is absolutely a front runner.
I know you don't like it and you don't see it. I don't either, and I don't see it. But they
see it.
Yeah, we're not decision makers, but I don't. When you start speaking on the Ben Johnsons, the Aaron Glenns, I think
Todd Monken.
I think Aaron Glenn. You have a better idea of the culture that you would have underneath Aaron Glenn than you would of the culture of a Ben Johnson. I don't know him well enough to speak on him, but I've never heard of culture or the environment that he's created there. You hear about his play calling. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard much about the culture that he's kind of created.
Yeah,
on that side
he's a little bit more soft-spoken and timid than Dan Campbell.
a little.
Yeah. I mean, like
so to that point,
a lot of times coordinators will elevate to the interview level.
So for sure, that's always my fear.
To the Kellen Moore.
That's always my fear when it comes to head coaches, is you could be a hell of a play caller, a hell of a coordinator. That don't mean that you're going to be a great head coach.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're soft-spoken, through my experience and for what I've seen around the league, for even just the coaches that I had and the coaches that I've seen now, quiet and timid or not, whatever you might want to call it, as a great play caller, you have to manage the coaches. Your job is to coach the coaches.
Yeah.
That's what a head coach's job is.
Yeah.
Coach the coaches and manage everything else. You're the executive of the coaches. Yeah. I don't know Ben Johnson's leadership skills. I play with Aaron Glenn, so I have an idea of that. I don't have an idea of who's the other person you guys said?
Kellen Moore, Ben Johnson.
Kellen Moore. I don't see. Kellen Moore's a good play caller. I don't see him as a leader of men.
No,
I just don't. So that's when I think of a head coach. That's why Gruden pops up immediately to me. I think obviously Ron Rivera. That's going to get a lot of pushback there from a lot of people. But you talk about leader of men. Leader of men.
I am people.
That's what you're trying to come in. Yeah, I feel you. But like that's what you're coming in and asking of a coach. Yeah, you want to win. Yeah, okay, but what goes into that? Mm-hmm. Right? Who's your staff that you're bringing in? Do you have command of those coaches? Are you going to be able to tell those coaches this is the culture that we're running, and they're going to say okay? Right? Those are all things. Does your strength and conditioning program match up with your style of play? Mm-hmm. Right, these are all things that go into that leadership, and if you don't have a good sense of that person coming in with that all wrapped up, now you're hoping. Now you're guessing. Now you just don't know, right? Kellen Moore, what culture does he bring? I don't know. Ben Johnson, what culture does he bring? I don't know. Your offensive lineman's going to be catching the ball? You know, so I don't know, right? But Aaron Glenn, okay, you know there's going to be some discipline there, right? These guys they're going to be buttoned up, right? They're going to be buttoned up. But when I think about that's why I lean towards, in terms of this organization, I lean towards the people who have done it before.
Right. Yeah.
To say, okay, you know what? I'm not running the risk, right? I just let go of McCarthy.
Yeah.
I'm not about to run the risk on rolling the dice and seeing who may or may not work out. Like they have this box checked, but I don't know about these other boxes. That's why I lean towards Gruden, right? Or the Rivera as the guys that are more established, because like, okay, I've seen them lead. I've seen them get to the big games, or I've seen them do these things, and I know what I'm going to get. And I'm hopeful that I can get it again or get more out of them, right? But I know for sure that I have a baseline there.
Yeah, it gives you at least some level of confidence going into it, and you don't necessarily have that outside of that. Now, we got to take our second break. When we come back, I want to talk about who this could affect from an assistant standpoint. And I want to throw one more name out there that was talked about yesterday during the emergency pod that I want to just go ahead and cross off the list entirely. Yeah. I want to cross them off entirely.
Strike through.
Yeah. All right. When we come back with more Talkin' Cowboys right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
All right, back here on Talking Cowboys. This segment of the show is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback, Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle. All right, there were a couple names yesterday. I want to cross one off. Patrik wants to cross one off in terms of names that the Cowboys could think about. We had a conversation yesterday of what it would take to bring Sean McVay into the building, and a lot of that results around a first-round pick.
I'd give it up.
I know you would. Would LA give it up?
I stop it.
Would he give? Would they give up Sean McVay?
I stop at the second there.
As of a couple months ago, inside I had, Sean wanted. He still is open to get. He wants to get out of there.
Sure. I'm looking at that game last night. I think that's an absolute pipe dream.
Oh yeah,
I
they
don't
know
think
what
it's
they have.
Be a thing anymore. Yeah. LA doesn't want to get rid of him. He may not want out anymore. He may want out. Who knows? But it's really not up to him at this point in time.
Revisit this after next weekend.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be a thing.
I don't think it's highly probable.
I think it's impossible.
Okay.
I would.
Nothing's impossible, Kyle.
I would stake a bet. I would do a hot chip challenge if that ends up happening. I would 100, and I'm not good with spicy.
Okay.
So I would do it. I would die.
So that's your strike through.
The probability
I'm striking through Sean McVay. It's not happening.
Okay.
It's a pipe.
Who else is not happening?
I'm striking through Bill Belichick.
It's too expensive.
He's already got a job.
Number one, he has a job. But yeah, things can pivot and things can change. Like Isaiah said, nothing's impossible. But stop it. Jerry Jones is not going to pay the $10 million it would take to buy Bill Belichick out and then pay the exorbitant salary that would then be required by Bill Belichick, who also, by the way, what's that C word that Janet used to say? Control. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not happening, right? For the same reason that Jerry Jones is not going to pay $8+ million to buy Deion Sanders out of the contract with Colorado. It's not going to happen. So strike through Bill Belichick. I think that he's really setting up himself for the University of North Carolina, and that's just going to be a thing. So strike that. And for me, an add-on, strike Jason Witten as a viable head coaching candidate. Okay? We talk about lack of experience and how – and I agree with you. You don't necessarily have time for a guy who doesn't have the NFL experience, but there are some you can make an excuse for. Ben Johnson, you can make an excuse for that. Aaron Glenn, you can make an excuse for that. If they want to make an excuse for Kellen Moore, they will find a reason to make an excuse for Kellen Moore. But what you can't justify is pulling a guy up who has only 2 to 3 years of coaching experience, period, and all of that is at the high school level in Jason Witten. So strike through that, but I would love to have Jason Witten as a position coach. We talked about what that would mean as far as the shakeup that's coming within the assistant coaching ranks. Let me be clear. If hiring Jason Witten as a position coach costs you Lunda Wells, then it's not worth the hire. If hiring Jason Witten keeps Lunda Wells, but maybe you put Lunda Wells in a different position, like an offensive line coach, which he's done before, but that also allows Lunda to still be in the building helping Jason Witten with the tight ends. Again, fusion dance. I'm with that.
Well, what about the people that are, I mean, obviously Jason Witten is a beloved figure in Cowboys history, right? What about the people that are saying, well, look at what Dan Campbell's done. Look at a former player turned head coach.
Lightning in a bottle. And also, you have to, Isaiah made a wonderful point. I'm going to circle right back to this. When you're assessing the Dan Campbell situation, you can't look at it as a vacuum and say, oh, well, they hired Dan Campbell. He was a former Cowboys player. He went up there and he changed the whole culture. What does that mean, changing the whole culture, right? He was given the control to be able to pull in a Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn and those other positional coaches to move that Titanic away from that iceberg. Will that all of those variables exist in the exact same way, in the exact same fashion here in Dallas? The answer is no. So you can't hope for another Dan Campbell. You got to go with what probably fits you best in the right now. So if you want to go youthful and a guy, he wasn't a former Cowboy, but former Pro Bowl caliber guy who's helped turn some guys around, Al Harris is staring you right there in the face. If you want to roll some dice. Who
has NFL head coaching or NFL coaching experience. And
you've seen his ability to develop.
Exactly.
You've seen he's a guy that players will run through a wall for. You know what I mean? So if you're going to roll dice, though, that's a name that's justifiable to roll dice for. As much as I love Jason Witten, we're talking a head coaching conversation. I'm out on that. Respectfully.
Of course. That's just for the.
You say whatever you want after you say respectfully.
Virtually.
Well, but I have such reverence for Jason Witten. As a man, as a father, if you know his story coming up.
It's on Deep Blue, DallasCowboys.com.
Everything he overcame to become one of the best to ever do it. I do think that he will be a sensational NFL coach at some point. That point is not right now. He needs more grooming, and it starts with coming from high school, give him a positional.
I agree.
Job, and then let him work his way up over the next several.
For every Dan Campbell, and that is more so the exception and not the rule, for every Dan Campbell, there's also a Gerard Mayo.
Yes.
There's also Jeff Saturday. Mm-hmm. There's guys that are making that quick transition in the league that don't have success because of whatever parameters they're given, the roster they're given,
perfect example.
And all of those elements. Jeff Saturday in Indianapolis.
I know. Where did he go?
He was the head coach there for a hot second.
Where'd he go after that?
Now he's back at ESPN. he's just on the broadcast with your buddy Rex Ryan.
Interim.
Again, Dan Campbell was lightning in the bottle, and they gave him the control to turn that.
So again, he's a leader of men.
Yeah. You got to have the right person.
That's the right.
He was the right person.
But it was everything.
No,
everything
absolutely.
else.
But I'm saying the one thing is you have to command a room full of men.
Bite off some kneecaps.
And they have to listen to you and believe in you. And whatever you're pitching, they have to literally embody it and have to be willing to, right? I don't think people understand how difficult that is to walk in a room and tell everybody what your vision is, and everybody says, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing in the world.
A lot of people don't want to hear you out.
Yeah. Your natural instinct is to be like, man, I ain't trying to hear this cat. That's your natural instinct. But then you have to sit back and you got to watch how this person moves. How does this person operate? Is this person consistent? Do they waver, right? Do they mean it? Are they passionate? Do they love? Do they genuinely love everybody? How do they treat the janitor? Like all these things matter, right? That's all culture. Yeah. That's all culture, man. And you don't just walk into that, right? And especially when you've been in the league as a coach or a coordinator for a number of years, you have a body of work to look back and be like, yeah, I don't know who followed you. Is anybody following you, or did you just do a good job calling plays?
No, and that's why if you're going to go into, let's say, the coordinator's pool, right, I find it difficult to believe that, and I could be proven wrong. We'll see. I find it difficult to believe that Kellen Moore can walk into a room full of NFL players, defense and offense, and get an immediate buy-in, like a guy like a Pete Carroll or like a John Gruden. But if you're looking at coordinators, you look at what DeMeco Ryans was able to do with the Texans. But that's because that's the type of aura. When DeMeco Ryans walked in the room and he's such a player's coach, buy-in.
Can I give an example?
Yeah.
And I don't know how smart this is of me to say. So in the offseason, this previous offseason, I was doing Rise to Vote. I was working with a nonprofit organization that goes and talks and presents all the voting information, right? This is how you do it. This is how you sign up. This is all the information that you guys need to know. Well, I was doing that in affiliation with the NFL. So there's a number of organizations, number of teams that I went and presented to. The Bears is one of the organizations. When I went in there and I talked to the team, I was introduced by Eberflus, and I was like, no. Like just
really,
just in the 10 minutes that I was sitting there,
I think he'd be a great coordinator.
Again,
and he was set up to be.
Listen,
Yeah.
but coming from a former player who retired 12 years ago, right? I was in that room. I was like, not a head coach.
This ain't it.
No disrespect to the man, but like, you're not commanding these guys.
Yeah.
Just from him, how he addressed the team. In my head, I kept it to myself, right? And obviously that's worked his way out. But I knew from that moment, I was like, he's not going to be able to get these guys on board.
Yeah.
Lacked the aura.
Tough.
Immediately. But that's just as me. That's me sitting in a room as a former player and being like, he doesn't mean he can't call plays. He can't command his men.
Yeah.
We'll see. Lots to talk about. This will not be the final time we talk about this head coaching vacancy.
Just go get Marcus Freeman.
We'll be back. That'd be interesting. That'll be. We'll be back Tuesday at 11 or no 10 a.m. 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Tuesday.
On Tuesdays. From here on out, we'll talk about it again next week. Maybe we'll have some more names and we'll be able to cross some others off the list as we go along. For Patrik No C. Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback, Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long. We'll see you next Tuesday here on Talkin Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?